statistically, more marriages end in divorce. Even my own marriage, after 4 short years, ended. So now I'm part of the statistics. And I'm sure when you get married, your goal is to get divorced. So I want to share with you my 5 top tips to ensure that your marriage too can end in divorce. Tip number 1, have nothing in common. Now, when you meet somebody and you're in love with them, you might think that having things in common such as we both breathe, we both like each other, we both watch TV, are enough to keep you together and keep your marriage going for years and years. But if you really don't have anything in common, so for example, if you like going for walks in nature, enjoy being active, but your partner likes sitting on the couch all day and doing nothing, that means you don't have something in common. And it's a really quick way for you to ensure that your relationship ends really, really fast. Because once that kind of honeymoon love stage runs out and you realize that the two of you have got nothing that you can do together as a couple, generally that's when things deteriorate and break down. So nothing in common is my first tip. Tip number 2, don't communicate. Now, many of us think that talking and communicating are the exact same thing, where they're actually quite different. When you communicate, you actually listen to what the other person is saying. Sometimes you'll even ask questions to make sure that what they're saying is what you really heard. So for example, you might say to your partner, I really want us to have more open and honest communication. If they were really listening and communicating with you, they'd ask you questions. What does that mean? What do you mean by open and honest? If they're not listening, they will turn what you said around and say, oh, you don't trust me. That's also a great example of gaslighting, where you kind of make the other person feel like whatever they're saying is wrong, and if they ask you about something, you kind of throw the accusation back at them, but that's for another video. So if you're not communicating effectively, it's a great way for you to break down your marriage really, really quickly. Not communicating is so easy. Watch TV instead of talking to your partner. Also, if they say anything, just tell them that they're being silly. And also make sure that you don't really care about them at all, and that's why you don't want to communicate with them. Tip number 3 is all about money. Now, there are some things that can end your marriage really quickly, such as cheating and domestic violence, but I'm not going to talk about those ones because they're really obvious ways for you to end your relationship. Money is another really subtle but quite high up on the scale of reasons why people divorce. Now, money kind of has 2 components. Firstly, you can be in a relationship where your partner spends money all the time without consulting you, or they have different views and mindsets about money. Also, if you don't budget with your partner, meaning you don't get together and talk about how you're going to spend your finances, that's a really great way to make sure that your marriage ends in divorce. You can also use money as a bit of a manipulation or bargaining tool. So withholding money, asking for money, making everything in the relationship about money. Oh, if you had money, you would pay for this. Oh, you're spending money on yourself, you're a big spender. Anything that you can use money for really corrodes the relationship, because after all, money is much more important than loving, healthy relationships. They say money can't buy love, but who needs love when you've got lots and lots of little plastic bricks? Tip number 4, effort. If you make no effort in your relationship, it's certain to end in divorce. Now, effort can be really, really small or quite large. An example of small effort would mean when your partner comes home, your spouse comes home, you actually get up off the couch and go and greet them at the door. If they have a lot of shopping in their hands, you get up off the couch and help them bring the shopping into the house. Another way of showing a little bit of effort is doing your share of the housework and cooking, and just being helpful with the tasks and the chores, that are in, with being in the house, just to help out with the chores. That's a small effort. Then you've got bigger efforts such as meeting your spouse's friends or family, talking to their parents, understanding their background might be a bit different to you, and just showing tolerance and love and forgiveness and respect and kindness and charity and compassion and love, everything, these normal things that we find in relationships. So putting in no effort whatsoever, even for simple things such as helping out cooking at least one day a month, is a great way for you to corrode your relationship and ensure that it ends in divorce. Tip number 5. Now this one is probably my favorite tip, and it's all about trust. If you want your marriage to end in divorce really quickly, make sure that you are doing things that make you appear incredibly distrustful. Now, that could be things such as sneakily looking at your phone, or if your spouse wants to use your phone, being like, oh, no, you can't use my phone. It could also be things like hiding purchases or hiding things away that seem really inconsequential, but gradually over time they build and they build and they build until they don't trust a word that you say. Another great way is to make sure when you are giving your word and saying I promise, that you don't intend to keep your promise at all. So if I say to you, oh, we won't go to your mom for Christmas this year, I promise, but then we do go, that's a great way of building distrust. Those are my 5 top tips to help you to have your marriage end in divorce. Have nothing in common, don't communicate, put no effort in whatsoever, make sure that money becomes a big issue between the two of you, and then finally is make sure that you're building a lot of distrust in your relationship. I know that you want your marriage to end in divorce, so if you really want that to become a reality, follow my top tips. Now, it could be said that if you do the opposite, your marriage might be as successful. That and also a lot of other things such as getting to know the person that you love, maintaining the relationship by going on dates, having that open, honest communication that we spoke about, love, kindness, compassion, saying you're sorry when you sort of make a mistake. All these are wonderful things could actually help you. But nowadays we want to be statistics. We want to be part of the norm and make sure that our relationships deteriorate as quickly as possible. So I hope you find these really, really helpful. Any of you that have any questions about what you can do to deteriorate your relationships, please get in contact. I'd love to hear from you. Thank you and have a great day.